And we're going to hit the button right here.
Okay.
Oh, where's my little piece of paper? Let's turn the AC on, Sandy. Go live on Facebook. What's up, YouTube?
Two.
Okay, I've got AC coming on.
Awesome.
What's going on, Sandy?
What's going on with you, Ronnie?
Well, selling cars.
That's good. I'm selling mortgages
You're
right
selling
now.
mortgages?
Yeah, so it's working out. It's all working out. Looking for my own house right now.
You're looking for a house?
I am. Mm-hmm.
What part of town?
I want to be on the west side, very close to Garden of the Gods. So
Ah.
I'm being very, very specific about where I want to be.
Like one zip code?
Maybe two. Maybe two. We'll see. I'm testing the areas out right now, but I need something a little bit eclectic, not too of a formal neighborhood.
Oh.
Yeah.
Something where you don't have an HOA?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I like HOAs.
I just don't like being told what to do.
Okay.
I really don't. Like yesterday, I'm like laying out by the pool. I pay $2,000 a month to lay by the pool. Don't come out and tell me that you're closing the pool because you need to clean it.
You can clean around me.
You can clean around me.
Swim,
well, right, exactly. I'm not even in the pool. And they were like, no, you have to leave. So
you had to leave the area?
I had to leave the area. Yeah.
Wow. You couldn't even watch them clean.
Nope. No.
What's up, guys? It looks like we got Judy Bolger. Michael Jordan is with us. So
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
Basketball player?
I don't think that's the basketball player. What's up, Michael Jordan? You got a great name.
He does have a good name. Does have a good name.
So look, I brought Sandy in because Sandy does mortgages. Sandy is one of my trusted advisors in my networking group. And she's a bubbling, fresh air, great mentality. She's brought a lot of good energy to our group. And she wants to join us in discussing things. So Sandy's got a unique story. She moved here from
New York, from Long Island, New York, not Manhattan, but from the island. I lived there for most of my life, other than when I went to college, which was upstate New York, kind of like the mountains here, only smaller. So I've worked the New York market for about 30 years.
Really?
I got into the industry when I got out of college, waiting for my dream job, which did not come around fast enough for me, but I kind of got hooked into the industry. I really liked working with people, and I liked the freedom that you had when you worked in the mortgage industry. It's not your typical 9-to-5 job. So you do work 7 days a week, but you don't have to get up at 7 in the morning necessarily, even though I get up at 5 in the morning. You can kind of work your hours how you need to.
Being your own boss.
Being your own boss.
Okay.
Was very handy when I was raising my 2 sons. Very nice.
Let's bring people up to speed. So Sandy is from New York.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to upstate New York. I've been to Seneca Lake.
Okay.
Went out boating on that lake. It's been a good time.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that about New York. It's not brick and mortar.
It's more than an 8-mile island. It really, it's actually, New York is a really large state. And where I'm from is Long Island, which would be considered a suburb of Manhattan. So I was about 55 miles from Manhattan. So we have a different lifestyle than people that live in the city. We don't consider ourselves city people.
Yeah.
We consider ourselves islanders.
Right.
So it's a different market even. But the nice thing about living there was that out on Long Island, we had farmland. So we did have some USDA out there like you do here in Colorado. And then we also, had single family dwellings. And then in Manhattan, you learn about co-ops and condos, because 90% of what you do in Manhattan is going to be condos and co-ops. So I had the best of both worlds when I was living there. I could live out east, have a lot of space, a lot of property, but I could be in Manhattan within an hour by train. Yeah, so it was nice.
Cool. What's up, Danny Ramos on YouTube? I see you. Thanks for joining today. Thank you guys for tuning in. This lady has a unique story that I want to share with the world. Like for me, I moved to the state and went out, in 2000, a long time ago. I didn't know anybody.
Right.
Started from scratch and built my business. Yep. So when I started talking to you, I wanted to share your story. Like, there's other people that are trying to do stuff from nothing. And so today I'm hoping you can drop a few nuggets for people to share.
Sure. So what happened was I had met my husband. We were together 27 years. We raised two really wonderful boys. And then unfortunately, my husband got ill and he did pass away in 2016.
Wow.
When you live on Long Island, like I did, it really is a two-income kind of situation, unless you're ultra successful. So when he passed away, the $15,000 a year property taxes and the mortgage payment, it was really overwhelming. I was not living for life. I was living for that house, to keep the house that we had raised our sons in. And my sons were grown. And so I was really just holding on to the house for the sake of a memory. And that's not really a good reason to hold on to a property.
So she was holding on to the house for the sake of a memory.
Of a memory.
And continuing to pay property taxes.
Oh yeah, I was paying $3,200 a month.
Wow.
To stay there. And that was hard. And I couldn't charge my kids rent because
Mom.
On their mom. So I couldn't do that. Yes.
Right.
So what happened was my youngest son, who was an electrician at the time, had actually found a brochure on the train for Colorado Mountain College in Leadville. So anybody that lives in Colorado that's been to Leadville knows that Leadville is winter 24/7.
It's not that bad.
So we went out there in May to blizzards, and it was a one light town. So here we are, from Manhattan to Long Island, and he wants to live in a one light town, and I'm looking at him going, no. But they directed him to another college in Steamboat Springs.
What's the name of that college?
That is also Colorado Mountain College.
Oh.
And so, of course, anybody that's been to Steamboat Springs know that's like a little piece of paradise in Colorado. And so he moved there and he went to college there.
What year was that?
That was in 2018. He moved out here, January 2018.
Like a year and a half ago, he moved out.
And
you were still there paying $3,200 a month.
And I was still there paying $3,200 a month for a big house that was really just housing myself. And my oldest son had come home to stay with me after my husband passed. But with him also came some friends.
Oh.
So it wasn't working.
Okay.
It wasn't working the way that I had hoped it would. So when Matt moved to Steamboat, I went out and visited him and went skiing. And of course,
Steamboat's a different story.
Steamboat is a different story, but everybody said Colorado Springs would fit me perfectly. And they were really right. But I did move here without ever visiting Colorado
Really?
Springs. Yes, I did.
So, all right, let's tell them that. So she basically, her husband passed away. She paying all these property taxes in New York is $3,200 a month.
Yep.
One kid came out to go to school in Leadville, Colorado. The other kid
had a professional job working in New York. So he was graduated from college. He didn't need me anymore.
Oh.
So it was kind of like it was time for him to leave. He was staying for me. I was staying for him. It was not really. It wasn't conducive to what we all needed to be doing, which was healing. So after visiting Matthew a couple of times in Steamboat, I went online.
Yeah.
I checked out Colorado Springs online.
Okay.
I rented an apartment sight unseen that was still being built.
The one you're in now.
The one I'm in now.
Okay.
And I sold my house I sold it in 4 days.
In New York.
In New York. And then I made the poor kids hold escrow for 4 months because I lived there for 27 years. And this is when we discovered that my husband was actually a hoarder.
Oh, boy.
So it took a really long time to empty the house out. And I didn't know what I had as far as, what we had to do.
They're all memories, so you don't want to let them go.
Right.
Like even if it is hoarded up stuff, you're just like,
some of them was like, wait, I threw this out. How did this get back in the house? Kind of memories. So some of it was really easy to throw out a second and third time. But other things, it was a little difficult to pack up. But we got it done in 4 months. We closed on the house. I got in my car with my dog, and I left.
The dog I met.
The dog you met.
She's got a black lab.
I have a black lab. Yes, a huge black lab. And we spent 4 days on the road driving out here. I did not have a place to live when I got out here because my apartment was still being built. So I rented a condo in Steamboat and hung out there for a couple of weeks. And it was really nice.
I know what that feels like. I moved out to Minnesota in '93. I drove across the country from Virginia. Like I had no,
yeah,
you know, and I'm driving across the Mississippi Bridge, you know, and it was like all ice, and my brother would know. He's been there, he's lived there, and it was just like, oh my goodness, what have I got myself into? Like, so like your story, you going back to Sandy's story, like, you know, 2016, her husband passed away, right? And then you're trying to figure it out. The boys are growing. One wants to go to college, all this stuff. Life isn't over. And you don't have to give up. And so you're like, you know what? I'm going on an adventure. I'm going to go to Colorado.
This is life take 2.
Okay.
So that's, you know, that's kind of how we look at it, is that you have to have some closure when you lose a family member, but that doesn't mean your life is over. It actually kind of motivated us to figure out what we wanted to do. So I think the process always is, in the beginning, is you still are living the life that you had with that person. And then one day you wake up and you go, but I really don't like boating as much as I thought I did. Or I really don't like, you know, it's like, I'd rather be doing this. And then you realize, well, why can't I be doing this?
Yeah.
You know, it's not just that my 21-year-old at the time picked up and moved out, or that my 24-year-old had a job and was looking for an apartment, but it was that I also had the opportunity to start over.
Okay.
So it's
close that chapter.
To close that chapter and to start over on my terms.
Well, I think that people get this idea of what success looks like. Well, and this is a different side of it.
Yeah.
Because Sandy's really successful, and to share her story, well, you know, depends on how you measure success.
Right.
Some people measure with money. Some people measure it with friends or whatever. Right. But like, you know, for me, you know, just watching you grow in the group and our networking sphere has been very intriguing, you know. So to share this today, I'm excited about it.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Right now we're up to, you get to the Springs, your apartment gets built.
My apartment finally gets built.
And when did you decide, okay, I got to start making some money?
Not right away. You know, I mean, I needed to get settled in. I always highly recommend that when you move, you give yourself a couple months to get settled in, know your area. It's really important, especially in my industry, that you do have an understanding for the area. So, and there's licensing that has to take place.
Yeah.
So I had to, you know, do all my licensing over, and, you know, so I spent the time studying and kind of exploring the area and really discovering how much I loved Colorado. I was surprised at how much I did not miss being by the ocean or the bay. I didn't miss the boat.
No seafood.
There is no seafood.
Cod.
Well, actually,
we have cod.
You have cod, but you also do have some crazy crabs that we saw over at 11 Mile Lake.
Oh yeah, they do have those.
Yeah, because I was walking around the lake going, am I hallucinating?
They're freshwater.
They're freshwater crabs. I'm game.
I don't even know what you call them, really, but I've seen them on that lake. I've been on that lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, it's really weird.
So there's a few things, and then seagulls are out here too.
I know, right? I'm like, how did they get here?
And it's like,
are they lake gulls?
Well, yeah, I know exactly what kind of. They're very quiet gulls.
Yeah,
so
they don't make as much like at the ocean.
They don't screech at you. You can't. They're like stealth. So if they're going to come in and grab your hot dog out of your hand, you don't hear them.
They're going to get it though.
Yeah, they're going to get it.
Right.
But yeah, so it was amazing to me how well it fit and how friendly everybody was, and receptive to me coming out here. You know, because I mean, I am a transplant. You know,
most of us in Colorado,
and I realize that a lot of people who were in the military always want to come back when they retire.
That's the thing. That's the thing.
I get it. I really do get it. But so I took the first 2 months, studied, got to know the area, and then I started working.
So if you're making a plan, the way she did it was like, let's say you want to start your life over, guys. You want to go chase a dream, go on an adventure, start chapter 2.
Right.
You know, you can do it, but she's recommending that you study the area, get used to that.
Know your area, make sure this is where you need to be. That's why I didn't buy when I came out here either right away. I didn't know the area, so you don't buy sight unseen. You can rent sight unseen.
That's a good point.
But buying sight unseen could be dangerous. You know, you don't, you know, like being here now for almost a year, I know what areas I don't want to live in, you know, and I'm very, very drawn to Garden of the Gods. So I know what areas I want to be close to.
But it's taken you a year to figure that out.
But it's taken me a year to figure it out.
That's a nugget. if you're moving to a new city, don't buy right away.
Oh yeah,
Rent for a while
absolutely.
and get used to it and understand it. The place you like on paper might not really work out.
Exactly. So I thought, oh, I'll rent for a couple of years actually. But I quickly discovered that I am not meant to rent.
Okay.
Because when you rent, you are micromanaged by the management company. This particular place does allow dogs.
Yeah.
They DNA tested my dog.
Wow.
My dog got sick.
So if he bites somebody, they can tell who it was.
Bite. That's the least of my worries. They check the DNA samples from the dog park if you don't clean up after your dog.
What?
And
that's a thing?
Yeah, it's a thing. And so I got an email one day saying you didn't clean up after your dog in the dog park.
We have DNA?
We have DNA proof that you did not do this. And
wow.
It's $100 fine. Second fine is $150, and third offense is eviction.
From checking the DNA.
From checking, yes. So
they got CSI.
They have CSI out there to check my dogs. Yes, they do. They do.
Oh my goodness.
So that was kind of like one of those aha moments where it's like, okay, so it was a blizzard. It was March. It was my birthday. It was a blizzard on my birthday.
The bomb cyclone?
The bomb cyclone, yes. The bomb cyclone.
You never forget that birthday.
Right. And I was out there. I even was videotaping how horrible it was for my friends to see. It was like, come on, Molly, go, go, go. And I did not see her go. And I was like, the hell with it. You
can only see 3 feet.
Yeah. The hell with it. Come on, we're going back upstairs. You're going to have to just hold it until it clears up. Well, apparently she did go. I missed it.
Okay.
But they didn't.
Oh.
They didn't. They went
found
out,
the DNA after the bomb cyclone?
Yes, they did.
Yeah. If any of you were here with me in the bomb cyclone, I mean, I couldn't see with 6 feet.
No, you can't.
And they located your dog's poop.
Yes, they did.
Checked the DNA.
Yes, they did.
And sent you a letter.
And charged me. Charged me a fine.
Golly. All right, we're derailing this thing. So, all right, so basically, that's who you are. You are Sandy Cutrone.
I am Sandy Cutrone.
You're out here on an adventure, life chapter 2.
Right.
And so let's talk a little bit about your industry. You say you did 30 years of mortgage
30 years. So I started in title when I first got out of college. I was a communications major, and I started in title. And then I got recruited by a mortgage broker, and I stayed with them for about 5 years. And then I got recruited to be a processing manager at one of the largest brokers at the time on Long Island.
Okay.
So I stayed with them until I had my first son. And then I went, I kind of became an underwriter for a while. So an underwriter is the one that says, yes, I will approve your loan, or no, I'm sorry, you can't have a mortgage.
But they stay behind the scenes.
But
they never call and say, hey, I'm not approving your loan.
Right. No, back then
you just sent a letter.
You didn't talk to the underwriter back then.
Oh wow. Do you talk to them now?
Absolutely.
Really?
Oh yeah. Underwriters are my best friends. Because you want to know what's going to work and what isn't in this industry. There's a lot of things that have gone on over the last 30 years. Dodd-Frank, the mortgage meltdown, Y2K. I mean,
HARP,
all of these things that have come into play, and as a result, you've gotten things like HARP, loan modifications, which were completely misunderstood and
I've heard about that,
and sold to the wrong people, and the wrong people were told to do certain things because the industry didn't understand the difference between a modification, a HARP, and a hemp.
So you're like a guide, and you help people figure out the details.
So I'm really like a specialist, because at this point I've been doing this for 30 years and I've done every aspect of this industry. I've worked for mortgage brokers, mortgage lenders, FDIC, Wells Fargo, Citizens Bank, Flagstar. So I've worked for a lot of lenders, but my experience comes in watching what happened. So I've seen 2 meltdowns, and people forget about the meltdown.
They've already forgotten.
In the 90s. I know they do.
It's just raining money right now.
Hello, we didn't forget. We have Dodd-Frank to remind us every single day that we had issues in our industry. And if
the market is just on fire, nobody remembers the bomb cyclone of the industry.
If you want to remember, just Rent the Big Short. I mean,
it's nuts, man. It's like nobody even cares anymore. They're just like, keep spending.
So what happened in the first meltdown is that instead of regulating, we deregulated. Okay. And we kept deregulating. And then after Y2K and after 9/11 and all of that, we continued to deregulate.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until 2007 when everything hit the fan with all of these crazy negative AM loans that should not have ever been
They never should have been
sold.
approved.
What happened was the products were good, but they should have only been for specific groups.
Yeah.
Not for everybody. A person who makes fixed income, gets the same salary every week,
Yeah.
should not be doing an interest only or a
Right.
negative AM loan.
Construction loan or whatever.
Right. So what happened was people were just misusing the products that came out and selling them to everybody.
Everybody
because
was
there was
doing it.
no regulation. I did the refinance market basically in slippers raising my children. It was just,
Wow.
things were too easy. But then they overregulated. So in 2007, I actually took 2 years off while they were getting everything kind of figured out with what they were going to do in the industry. And then I went back to work in 2009. And then shortly thereafter, Wells Fargo bought out the broker. So everybody takes a turn on getting blamed. In the 90s, the appraisers were blamed. And then the second meltdown, mortgage brokers were blamed. And so you saw 80% of the mortgage brokers go out of business.
Well, let's drop a nugget for these guys. So listen, this has been struggling with this one. I tell people a lot, I've been doing this 20 something years, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is my thing.
Right.
And you 30 years, right? So I've heard recently, nobody cares how long you've been doing it. No, don't take that wrong. I think your experience is quantifiable. Mm-hmm. Your experience is great. Mm-hmm. But what's your take on hanging your hat on that? For me, I'm trying to shift that mindset to what am I doing now? Based on what I've learned 20 years ago, what am I doing now?
Right. I've had people say that. What is your value that you add?
Yeah.
Why should I just?
It's got to be more than the 20 years or 30 years. It's got to be more than just the amount of time. Because sometimes I think people can do stuff for a long time and they suck for a long time.
Right.
And they haven't changed their fixed mindset. They don't want to do anything different. They want to grow. So where are you at on that answer? And I dropped that on you.
That's okay.
So
So let me put it to you this way. There are two major things that we do in our life that are incredibly important. One is we have children.
Okay.
Okay. The second is we buy a home. Those are two of the most expensive things that we're going to do. So
I'd agree.
Okay. So it comes down to this. Are you going to go online, not understanding the ins and outs of the industry, apply for a $300,000 mortgage, have it declined because you didn't know certain things, like you can't make cash deposits, or you can't change industries, or you can't go from being a W-2 employee to a 1099 employee? Who's there to guide you?
So the 30 years is great.
Just like having a baby. It's like, do you just get pregnant and have a baby and you don't have any guidance? You don't go see a doctor. You don't consult with anybody. You just, I'm going to do it. You can do it that way, but there's going to be a lot of roadblocks and a lot of problems. And
so you're saying there's more than one way to learn your lessons. You're going to learn them.
You're going to learn them.
You're going to learn your lessons.
You can learn them ahead of time.
Yeah.
Where you prepare yourself for purchasing a home, which is why I'm working on an ebook right now, which hopefully would be the last book anybody would have to read on mortgages, because there are so many mistakes that people make that they don't realize. And then they turn around and they go, well, you didn't tell me that I couldn't borrow money to, for the down payment.
Yeah.
Or you didn't tell me that I couldn't have my credit checked here and there, and now my credit score has dropped. Or
right.
There is a lot of things that happen in the mortgage process.
So the experience matters.
The experience,
but we don't hang our hat on it anymore. We've got to be doing something.
If you go to an inexperienced loan officer, it's going to be a rocky ride.
Really?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's going to be a rocky ride.
I don't think I've ever had an inexperienced loan person, but I think that's an interesting take. So the 30 years could matter, right? But also, what are you doing right now? What kind of programs you're able to look at? What experience you have?
I went back to my broker roots. Okay. I feel that as a mortgage broker, you have the best options for your borrowers. So I have over 100 lenders that I can call up and say, listen, I have a borrower. They just went bankrupt. It's less than a year. They have a 600 FICO score, even a 500 FICO score. What can we do? It was, extenuating circumstances. They do have money to put down and want to buy another house.
Okay. So
And
you don't like
so
capital,
I
so
can-
you can go to
So
all
I
different
can
types of
shop
places. Yeah.
for people, or I can go to Rocket Mortgage. Like people want to go online and apply for Rocket Mortgage, and I can do that too. Rocket
Okay.
Mortgage is just an online program.
Okay, like
All right.
Lending Tree or something?
Like a lending tree. So, and that's exactly who puts it out. So I have lending tree, I have credit unions. It all depends on what your needs are and where we would go.
Okay.
But what I do is I take out that shopping process. So you're looking for 3.75 on a VA loan. Let's see who's got 3.75 on a VA loan. Everybody's a little bit different. So what it does is it allows me to do the shopping for you so that you don't have to go and have everybody running your credit and trying to figure out, okay, why is this lender better than that? So I take all of the hard work away from the consumer by
Yeah.
shopping for them.
As long as they listen.
As long as it's important to listen. It is important to listen.
So let me ask you this. So like your
Mhm.
story, like I said, it's really cool. Like you came out here in 16, I'm
Mhm.
sorry, 18, and you started over a new chapter. You're still working on the mortgage industry. That's a safe place for you.
Yeah, well, it's working in the mortgage industry is my home. It's like I've been doing it forever,
Okay.
and there's not much that I'm not a specialist in at this point. So I am a member of the El Paso County Bar Association.
Mhm.
I am a certified divorce lending professional,
Wow.
which allows me to go in and help people that have jointly purchased a property. And unfortunately, they're uncoupling now, and we need to
Yeah.
keep it as sane and as easy as possible for them, because if we can get to a couple that's separating their property in enough time, we can prevent them from ruining each other's credit, and one can buy the other out. They don't necessarily have to sell their family home, especially if they have children involved. So
That might be a whole nother video, but that's interesting.
yeah, so there's a lot of different certifications. Construction, you have to be certified in. Reverse mortgages, you have to be certified in. Commercial loans is a completely different animal. So the advantage of me being in the industry so long is that I have the expertise in all of these areas to share. And
Okay.
I can like guide you or say, no, I don't want you to do a reverse mortgage. 70 is too young. You're not going to benefit from it.
Okay.
Or maybe it is. It all depends on the situation. So these are things that people just cannot go online and do sight unseen.
They need somebody to help
They
them.
need somebody to help them.
All right. So tell me this, what drives you? What is your drive at this point?
I think the thing that excites me most is still my first time home buyers. It's helping somebody get out of that renting situation where the best example I can give is I got a phone call a couple months ago from a woman who had paid her rent on time. She had been living there for 7 years. She gets a letter from her landlord's bank. They are foreclosing on the property.
Hmm.
Now, she didn't do anything wrong. She paid that rent. She paid that rent to her landlord, but that landlord did not make his mortgage
I've heard
payment.
about that happening. Yeah.
Okay. And now she's got 60 days to find a new place to live.
Wow.
Does she want to take a chance on another landlord, or does she want to take a chance on herself? In her particular case, she happened to be a veteran.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to do 100% financing. Here in Colorado, the seller pays some of the closing fees as far as title is concerned. And she was able to get into the property for about $2,500 out of pocket.
Wow.
That's a lot better than renting, putting down 1 month's rent, 1 month's security. It's actually, in her particular case, would have cost her more money out of pocket to rent someplace else because
Okay.
of the security deposit. And now her payment is tax deductible. She can deduct her interest. She can deduct real estate taxes. Whereas when she was renting, she was paying her landlord, trusting that everything was fine, and she still got evicted.
All right. But what drives you outside of business? Why, across the country, what drives you?
What drives me as far as
Outside of business.
outside of
What wakes you up
business.
every day outside of that dog and those 2 boys?
Okay, so for me, it's being outside. I love the mountains. I love hiking. I love anything that has to do with outside activities. That's me. I have a fishing pole in the back of my car that if I see a great place to go fishing, I'm going to pull over. I haven't caught anything yet. I'm still learning. I'm still transitioning from being fishing and clamming on the bay to like learning how to fish in rivers and lakes here.
Different.
But I find that to be the most rewarding thing here is being outside.
You should hook up with Brian Miller then. Brian Miller, he's a friend of mine on Facebook. He's a title guy.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, he's an angler.
Oh,
he's
is he?
like constantly fishing.
Yeah.
My father-in-law's like that. He's like always fishing.
Yeah. So anything, if there's a dirt road to be seen, I'm going down it. I have not gone down one dirt road that hasn't either taken me to Cripple Creek, which cracks me up because I feel like every road leads to Cripple Creek.
If you're a gambler, my mother-in-law would agree with that probably.
But that is like my biggest thing is exploring dirt roads and seeing where they lead, and because the beauty that's in these mountains is just it's spectacular. But you can't see it always. It is. I look at Pikes Peak and I'm like, that's my backyard.
Well, we've been going 30 minutes. Listen, guys, the story I wanted to bring to you today is that Sandy picked up, started over, and is still working on her dreams and still opening up new chapters.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you don't have to, like people, like I said earlier in the video, everybody measures success in a different way, and it doesn't always mean money.
No, it's not. It's really not the money. It's the success and how happy you are every day in your life. And I can say without a doubt that moving here is one of the best things that I did, and I'm the happiest I've been in years.
Any grandbabies on the way?
I have a grand dog. That's about it. No grandbabies
Not yet.
Okay. Not yet. But I am babysitting this weekend for a 3-year-old and a 10-month-old. So
good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, you got any nuggets you want to drop on people for perseverance or?
So I think the best thing that I can say about when things get you down is that you have to accept the fact that not everything in life goes the way that you plan on it, and that things happen for a reason. And if you can look at failures as a success because you learn from them, that you can make each day count better. So I think, like I've always taught my kids, that you have to figure out a way to take bad and make good come from bad. And if you can figure that out, you've got it.
Make good come from bad. I love it. All right, cool. Sandy Cutrone. She is, what's the company name you're with?
Nexa Mortgage.
Nexa Mortgage. She's a friend of mine in my networking group, and we're just chatting today. So I hope you got something out of it. Let's see if we have any questions. If you got any questions for Sandy, drop them in there. Danny, in your experience and opinion. Danny wants to know, Sandy, how many states are you licensed in? How many should you be licensed in, like if you're going to be a mortgage person?
Yes. Okay. So, Danny, that's a good question. So if you work for a mortgage bank, FDIC, you are automatically licensed in all of the states that they are in. You do not have to get individual licensing. Okay. If you choose to work for a lender or a mortgage broker, you have to be licensed in each state that your company is in if you want to work in that state. I personally obviously licensed in New York, but I don't do loans in New York with Nexa Mortgage.
Okay.
Nor did I with the previous company. New York is a weird state. It's its own entity. You have to have brick and mortar there.
Okay.
I am licensed here in Colorado, so I can do the whole state of Colorado, and I am also licensed in Texas. So what I do is I look at what makes the most sense. It doesn't take long to get licensed. I'm looking to do my licensing also in Arizona, California, and Florida.
So maybe that's the real answer. It's like, Danny, if you're hearing her, like maybe it's get licensed in the places you want to do business. Get
licensed in the places that you want to do business that makes sense. So here we have a lot of people that move from Texas and move from California
so to
Colorado Springs.
Laws. Okay.
And so you want to know, so you want to have an understanding of what they came from. And on the same token, I did a mortgage for somebody that was going to move to Colorado Springs. He was from Oklahoma and then decided instead of moving to Colorado, he wanted to move to Texas. So it didn't take much for me to get my license in Texas.
Right.
And then I was able to do the mortgage for him.
It looks like we answered Danny's question. That was a good question, Danny. Thank you. So awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say to the people? Oh, my mother-in-law who just, Letty, I'll call you back.
She knows how to get you.
Oh yeah, she's on here and she's calling me. I'll call you back, Letty. She's got the kids.
Oh, okay. So when are you picking up?
Maybe I won't call her back. I'm busy. So I'll call her back in just a minute. So anyhow, thank you so much for coming here today.
Bonnie. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
I learned a lot about you. I think it's great. You know, we try to develop these relationships that are a lot deeper than they are wide.
Right.
You know, and so it just takes one step at a time.
And that's, if I could say one other thing to people that want to start over, the most important thing, if you move someplace like I did or like you did where you don't know anybody, networking groups, the Chamber of Commerce, BNI groups. I joined BNI because I needed friends and I needed a family and I needed that kind of, emotional
like-minded
support.
People.
Right, like-minded people, exactly. So don't be scared to move. Know that every community has lots of networking options. Just Google it. People want to help. People really do want to help.
You know what's really funny about Letty is that my wife, her daughter, and her sister, and Letty's actual sister, Linda, who's in there too, they left her in North Dakota. They all moved here.
Well, North Dakota's cold.
Well, yeah. And then guess who came down? Letty. And now the grandkids have her trapped here. She's not going anywhere.
You're not going anywhere, Letty. That's it.
No.
No more North Dakota.
Oh, we'll go up there for wildlife.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't been there yet. I have to check it out.
If you like to fish, that's the spot.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to check it out then.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you so much, guys. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments box. We'll be back to you later. Danny Ramos, thanks for joining us on YouTube. And we'll broadcast it again later, and we'll do more of these.
Okay,
thank you very much,
awesome.
Sandy.
Thank you, Ronnie.
All right, let's get out of here. Okay.
Is that what she's doing?